lovely that you're all here and that we have slightly warmer weather, that it's not in the minus 36 degrees C for a while. Thank you to Owl Acoustic Lounge for having us here. This is a real opportunity for us poets to read our poems and see what your reactions are, which is lots of fun. So thank you for that, and thank you for Ryan Craddock at Shaw. Yay, Ryan. Okay, I love poetry that follows a form. It seems to provide a structure, kind of like a house, within which you build your poem. And I have done some free verse poems as well, but the form poetry is fun. So the first one I'm going to read to you today is called a tercet poem, and that's where there are 3 lines to a stanza rather than 4. And the last word in each line rhymes with the next stanza, so that the first word of each line rhymes, all rhyme, second word of each line all rhyme, and so on. Okay, this is a real event that happened at our house just a few days ago. Iridescent wings. On your final turquoise ringed flight, you tumbled, fast frozen from the skies. How could your day turn out so wrong? Last springtime, nested in poplar heights, you alternated routes, deterring raptor spies, careful that your plan would not go wrong. Hundreds of wriggling protein bites, you ferried to molting hungry cries, protecting them from starvation's wrong. As they fledged, you guarded them from fright and urged them on, lest they compromise. With short tail feathered, rudderless, so wrong. Your fond mate awaits with fortitude. Deep in winter's wrath, she's agonized, so aware that one flight could end wrong. You, who watched over all your brood, trapped within that Arctic vortex, flight capsized, with no warning, no final song. What went wrong? Thank you very much. A couple of weeks ago, I was at City Hall, and we were supporting the Indigenous group from the Blood Tribe that wanted to build more housing in Lethbridge, supported housing. And while we were there, the Sage Clan patrol was there as well. And they talked a great deal about what they do on city streets, where they are out 3 days a week. Sage Clan patrol, dressed against the dropping chill, as icy storms their skin impales, biting bones and splitting skulls, the Sage Clan walks the streets tonight. Their red wagon flounders, overfull, with sandwiches and winter apparel. Its heavy crunching marks their toil, impeding the Sage Clan's circuit in the night. From the sidewalks, those unseen arise to greet friendly, now familiar voices, to accept a lunch and clothing from allies. The Sage Clan quiets, listening to each plight. Wednesday evenings, ever on the move. All night Fridays, darkened fears disprove. Sunday, Christmas, turkey buns delight. The Sage Clan patrols both day and night. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be reading 2 poems from a chapbook I wrote this month for my partner. It's just sort of like one long narrative poem broken up into 8 parts. Just background on it, last winter I was working for an environmental firm up north, and my job was basically walk through the bush for 10 clicks, and then that was it. And anyways, on my days off, I would come down to visit her and my family, and then this is sort of a poem about that. It's called "The Moon of Finding My Way Home." Part 1, Shine. I stumble out of the forest and cross the frozen lake. I climb through walls of trees, and I wade among fields of hip-deep snow. The brittle muskeg cracks beneath my feet. The white flurries blind me, and the wind gnaws the skin from my cheeks. I blow on my fingertips until they are mine again. South to the river, south to my home. A million hooves beat a ribbon of thunder behind me. Caribou herds flicker, then disappear. Above me, the stars sharpen into focus, and the northern lights emerge. They bleed and quiver, ringing notes that warn me I'm alone and not alone. From the shore, I drag boughs to the center of the river, brush-stroke trails over an empty canvas. Here I will pitch my camp, first sweeping away the snow before I build my fire atop the ice. Green pine needles dissolve and their smoke dances, and for now I am safe. There is no sound but the wind, and still I hear your voice. You are calling me home. I smell your prayers, coffee and sweet grass, viscous smoke that whispers breathy words behind my ears, smoke that crawls upwards like wall-rooted ivy. Your words beckon me, ask me, why am I not beside you? I feed as much dry and sappy fuel to the fire as I can gather until there is nothing left untouched. As I watch the flames, you appear before me, a ghost, a dream. I stare into your eyes and I see 2 murky fissures. Looking down, you point and smile. I see it too. There is something concealed beneath me in the ice. I plunge my hands into the flames until they glow red, humming but painless. I bury them in the ice. Water boils and steam rises, and I reach deeper and deeper below. The steam cures my razored throat, and for a moment I feel whole and warm. From the ice, I retrieve what shimmers below, a crystal the size of a wild turnip. I bring it to my lips. I speak your name. But as my words reach the crystal, it melts and bleeds radiant, and from my palm shines a golden light. All that is mysterious is beautiful, hidden. The light enters my hands and races up my arms into my heart, into my lungs. I scream. The wind answers back. Vessels and fibrous nerves burn like filaments housed in the glass bulb of my chest. My legs are grass fires, shivering and glowing in the wind. My spine is a steel pipe bursting, and my brain is fury and cracking stone. Once the light reaches my eyes, I see what I must do. I will write my song in the snow, and it will live, and it will breathe. My corporeal song will deliver this message. I love you, I miss you, I love you. As quickly as it entered my body, the light seeps through frost-bitten pores and pools across the river. My body crumples and topples over, and within minutes, snow drifts around its husk until there is nothing. But the golden light remains. She spreads over the snow and drips, drips, drips into the hole in the ice. And that's the end of part 1. The second one is the next animal, it's a trout, but I'm going to skip that one. That's part 2. I'll read part 3. Steller's Jay. My song is the Steller's Jay, and I am my song. The blue flash of my feathered crown has traveled continents to meet you at the backbone of the world. Sequestered in this valley marsh, hidden, I continue my search for the final piece of my lover's nest. I am building it for you. I alight from a trembling bulrush and climb. I will carry the final twig south. The rocks and the ice below reach up towards my fluffy, beating breast, but nothing can touch me. Have you ever dreamed of flying? Have you felt the concentration of strength in your chest and shoulders, in your wings, grasping the air as if they were branches? If so, then you have dreamed of me. Sister, I am coming home. Mother, I am coming home. Prepare the nests and round up the grubs, because when I return, we will feast, swoop, soar. Let me show you a trick. Watch me tilt and play, buoyant as a leaf riding a current. See me flutter and dive between strata. I am the breeze singing gently at your back. I am the Chinook's blowing. I am the Chinook's invisible aggression blowing from the mountain range and out over the prairie. No one speaks to the wind like me. I flick my wing, and 100 miles away a willow dances. I fan my tail, and in an unknown valley, the bergamot loses its petals. Beneath me, the gray roads crisscross like scars. Dust clouds plume and fade. From up above, the world is small and simple. Words are useless here. Here, we read only songs and the bright plumage of my lecking cousins. But soon I must descend. A blue dollop of mercury I drop from the sky. The sting of hunger is our shared language, its sharp vernacular pangs. Now your world takes shape. There are green giants, rooted and calm, and within them the furred ones gather. Farther, a curling river where my web-footed brothers hunt and play. I spy a scattering of seeds over snow. Farther still, a house at the end of a dirt road. The old woman's gift of bread crusts and a millet and peanut butter smeared dowel. Feed and flight, forage and fast, this is our true daily bread. In the safety of her yard I rest. I burrow myself in the jacarandas and dream of the four-leggeds who cannot fly but crawl through dirt and sand. In the morning, I sing goodbye to the old woman and her cats, sworn feline enemies, if not for her food-borne diplomacy. Thank you, friend. Thank you, protector, but I must continue. I clutch the final twig with my toes, and I carry my lover's song in my heart. I am delivering them home with me. Over the fence post and through the tall grass, over a ditch, and do you see that? A dragonfly. If I could only gift her this emerald with wings. And yes, closer, closer, don't be afraid. Soon you will find your home, little delicious one, in the crook of my lover's beak. But pop! Feathers burst onto the grill of a rumbling truck, whose road-dreaming driver hauls gravel to the old woman's shack. Thank you.
So this one's called Tender Love. Best friends, roommates, colleagues, anything but lovers. History hates lovers. Maybe history doesn't see the purity, the emotion. Love is a pretty little thing. At least I think so. Platonic love. For him, I think it was romantic love. The purity in his eyes when he saw me. The rawness, the gentle love. This must be why history hates lovers. The hate overthrows what they wish they could uncover. Thank you. The next one's called Where I'm From. Hi, my name's Alex. I'm from a single mother, addiction takeovers. I'm from screaming matches, quiet lies, lonely people, just wanting to be loved. Empty bottles of booze. I'm from broken doors, tear-stained eyes, homophobia. daily coffee runs. I'm from night shifts, bruised palms. I'm from Pokemon and DS days, morning tea, shattered glass. I'm from absent dad, no money, breast cancer, pain, pain, pain. I'm from suicide attempts, the last hope my grandma had. I'm from stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. I'm from choir concerts, loud music. I'm from one more drink won't hurt. Divorce, bruised lips. I'm from I wasn't supposed to make it this long.
One of the things I like most about the Owl poetry is the diversity. We have such a wide, diverse, broad spectrum of ages and topics and styles and topics that people talk about. So I myself write quite a lot of autobiographical things to part of telling my story. And this is one of those. It's called Fortuitous Accident. The little photo fitting in my palm is black and white, very old, very blurred. The grinning boy depicted, hands behind his back, a heavy mop of hair not quite tucked beneath his cap, is maybe 8 or 9. Stare as I might, I don't recognize the boy, but this was my father, long, long ago. My photo editor helps a bit, but still the picture won't come clear, blurred beyond the veil of time, just as my father now is beyond the veil of time and space. Yet now I see what I'd never seen before. The boy's wide grin reveals a mouth full of terrible teeth, crooked, misaligned, some angled to a point of uneven height, some tucked behind the others. Fast forward a few years. The boy, now 17, comes a cropper on his bike, going head over handlebars and landing fully on his face, fully on those terrible teeth, knocking several out. As my father told the tale, he'd lost so many teeth that day, he directed the dentist to pull the lot, and soon was fitted with a set of false ones, smooth, white, of even height, and perfectly aligned. Now fast forward once again, just a few years, and the boy, now a man, wears a uniform. It's wartime, and he has joined the RAF. His eyes too bad for combat roles. He's in the Signals Corps, trained to expertly tap out Morse code or wave his arms in semaphore. For some strange reason, his group was sent to Canada, to Calgary, to run a wireless school. There, to cut the story short, he met a girl. Eventually, she said yes, and a few years later, I was born, and soon I had a brother. But as I ponder the photo of the haggle-toothed boy, I'm struck by one sure thing. If my father had still had the teeth of that young boy, the girl he fell for would have turned him down, and so there would be no me, no brother, and no poem to tell the tale. And so, in a way, I owe my very being, as my brother too owes his, to a nasty but fortuitous accident that took a young boy's terrible teeth. Thank you. And this other one, the second one, is also about a young boy, son of a friend of mine. I call it, Who Am I? A young boy I once knew, at the interesting age of 3, once looked at his mother and asked, "Mummy, am I me?" His mother laughed, but my thoughts flew instantly to Oscar Wilde, who is reputed to have said, "Be yourself, everyone else is already taken." But such a response would have flown right over my young friend's head, I'm sure. What did he mean? One does not usually associate existential angst with a 3-year-old. Or was he delving deep into Buddhist philosophy? Who is the I asking the question, and who is the me about whom it is asked? Or was it something else? Did he still have a memory of being someone else in a former life? A past life memory, such as those it seems many people have? Or was it the remnant of a dream? And how does one go about reassuring a child who poses such a question? One could try a sort of via negativa, well, you're not me, you're not your sister, and you're not the cat, so you must be you. But would that do? Out of the mouths of babes, as the saying goes. Wisdom is found in unexpected places, and life's conundrums come to us at any age. I still wonder about his question, for it obviously leads to life's ever-present question most of us ponder at some point. Who am I? Oh, my 3-year-old friend, why couldn't you have stayed with the question of all 2-year-olds, the question of the curious, the scientist, the explorer, the suffering? Why couldn't you just have stuck with why?
In my defense, I should say, please don't call psychiatric services after hearing this. It's another Costco poem. Fleur Zamboni, Fleur Zamboni, Fleur Zamboni, Fleur Zamboni, Fleur Zamboni. Prior to Christmas, we had Frosty the Snowman, Mickey Mouse, and Santa watching over us. What will I be demoing today? Fancy Italian meat, some kind of Asian treat, perhaps some pasta, or who knows what, or what have you. I have members who are my fans and look forward to seeing them and cooking for them and learning more from each encounter with them. Then there are the ones who are middle of the road. Some leave me warm, some leave me feeling cold. Then there are the ones I feel like saying, move along. But I can't say that because it'd be wrong. Did you know that moon cheese doesn't come from your bum? To get us out on the floor, it's quite the chore. We had to get signs to indicate what we're preparing, get all the tools, spatulas, knives, measuring cups, ovens, microwaves, skillets, scissors, and that's a short list. We need temperature logs and thermometers, and there's the daily meeting. Then we're supposed to roll out together. But usually I have to take a pee, so I run to the can, do what I have to do, then join the parade. We need theme music, perhaps Willem Richard Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries. If you ever watched The Expanse, the sound of our carts sound like the spaceships. Each and every day, it's usually something different. On the rare time, it's something the same. Most people like the simple things, but I love the complex things. My favorites are the Manchego cheese, sweet and hot jelly, and whatever kind of cracker or meat. Cutting cheese takes skill, especially when it's in a quarter, third, or a fifth, and you have to make all the pieces relatively the same size. Sometimes you are so focused on the cheese, you forget where your fingers are. Suddenly, there is pain. Suddenly, there is blood. And that's the end of that one. How much more time do I got? We'll do a random one here. This is called whatever. Something. It was written a long time ago, 20 to 30 years ago. Anyways, I flip, you tell me when to stop. Wow, this one goes on. Okay. Almost a father, almost a son. First, we knew each other on a professional basis. Neither seemed to like the other. But as time went on, we had no other choice but to acknowledge the other. Then there came a time when I was just barely clinging to life. That changed it all. For 5 weeks, almost every day, he came to my bedside to watch, to make sure I was all right. Even though there were times he may, I don't know, I wouldn't have acknowledged him, something like that, I don't know, because of the amount of drugs that were in my system. When I was reclaimed, I can't even read this. When I was reclaimed from the hospital, he took me to his home where he and his wife nursed me back to health. After that, we were friends, keeping in touch, grabbing coffee every now and then, talking, taking the odd day trip here and there. Then there came a time when I needed a place to stay. Where I lived wasn't exactly good for a student, so he took me in and became a teacher. Soon afterwards, I left, and I thought I'd learned what he could teach, so I struck out on my own, still keeping in touch, visiting now and then, finally realizing he was almost a father, and I was almost a son. Words were never spoken, but as whatever, every time I go to his house, it feels like home. I sometimes wonder, had I stayed, where, I don't know, I can't even read the end. Okay, so that one, yeah, basically, that was from when I was 20 and I had bowel problems and they cut out my bowels. I died during that thing and I came back to life in the morgue. And I was like, ah! And the nurse is like, hang on, we got a live one here. And then I passed out due to the pain and whatnot.
Good evening, everyone. This will be a little less entertaining, or chuckly. It's called Face to Face. Somehow this isn't quite right. Okay. A young drunk oil worker killed my mother and brother in a head-on collision one stormy winter night, thrusting my sisters and I into tragedy's spotlight, gilding us with pathos that seeped in and took root as chilling mortification, decimating our only little youth. Plucked out, dismembered, peered at and cut loose, we felt like curiosities and squirming little deers, flayed and insubstantial, with unformed stick legs, nodules of knees, and hot blinking eyes always seeing. Newly afraid of even being in the world, because at 6, 9, and 11, we faced the mythical monsters still tucked under other kids' beds, safely hidden in their childish heads. So for us, Santa didn't last long, and God never stood a chance. We inhabited various grim fairy tales instead, where helpless innocents cowered on the other side of a door that heaved with danger evermore, trying not to end up dead like those that had come before. We squirmed together in the cold, but alone, whirling away from most attention paid, sour anguish pulling at us like age, along with oddly oddly, deep shame. Among our peers, we felt vaguely despised, cut off from the mothership like that, and as unacknowledged grief, largely unexpressed, festered and grew with us inside. I think we embodied each kid's id, evoking primal horror and wary watching from the side for signs of possible contagion. We tried to keep stride with all the luxurious girls at school, still indistinguishable from their all-important moms, intent on building lifelong scaffolding for them. We tried to lose ourselves among their high, eager voices to avoid the dark, quivering vortex pooling silently at times. So while those girls hung onto their mother's warm waists, assured of a treasuring hand to guide their ducking heads at every turn, carefree even in obstinacy, we saw them wallowing in warm, welcoming fields, loping through their young lives, loose-limbed, caressed by grass, and free. We teetered instead on rubber sea legs, ever braced. Itinerant adults streamed by soundlessly on the edge of our lives, truly wishing us well at a remove, but also truly loath to inquire. This was before the evolution of child psychology and PTSD, still not really on the radar of any in my family except me. They were basically a bunch of cold, not a genuine warm hugger in the bunch. I mean the kind with an easy embrace that will hold you at arm's length, only the better to search your face, cradling both it and you in their gaze. Newborn babies were passed around hand to hand, though, like precious dolls, feather-soft faces gently stroked in awe, subterranean eyes comfortably met because they couldn't focus yet. Involuntary smiles taken as personal connection, inviting more touch. Earnest toddlers were often wholly engaged with as well. Such churning, chugging bodily joy, mostly irresistible. But as sentience grew tall and quiet inside, body fat burned into bone and knowing eyes. Mothers became principal handlers and sole emotional guides. This left us gangling out on the limb I've just described, unwittingly stoking some guilt, but more aversion, I'd say, to raw emotion being spilt. So we were skinny soldiers, pain apparently contained on the front lines of the family's heroic, hands-off style, ultimate victims of the low drama narrative more commonly associated with men, despite ours being a matriarchy rather, that is, a family of women. The upshot? I am not afflicted like the people from whence I came, but have always assumed they couldn't help it. It's simply their nature. Why else would anyone choose locked-in syndrome, known to be so debilitating? Especially my sisters, I thought, who have hewed closer to the party line. But the younger one has stated her appreciation that I express and emote for them at least, while steadfastly refusing to discuss our common past. She's no victim, is her thing. Then catastrophe exploded. My life again when I lost my treasured, hypersensitive son, dragging me back to age 9, except now I knew from experience that carnage denied often multiplies inside. And I really thought things would be different this time. But my older sister still prefers to pretend she was always one of the luxurious ones, manifesting both the same cold aversion to my pain, even having the nerve to parse my response to something she didn't even want to try and imagine. It was just so horrible, she said. Indeed. So the further loss of estrangement looms as well. So I turn the shower on full blast and step into the soothing silver stream as it heads for the drain, sometimes adding some tears to the flood and the waste that is us. Sharp needles that sting my face are warm as blood.
Some few of you will probably have seen the Alberta reports this month, and I actually have a letter in there that contains the following very short poem. It's a double dactyl, which is kind of a cutesy poo style that got invented, I think, by some New Yorker writer back in the 1920s, mostly to make snotty comments about other writers. I may use it to make a snotty comment about Danielle Smith, who's far more deserving. And higgledy-piggledy is the traditional way these things start, so don't blame me for the damn thing, okay? Higgledy-piggledy, Danielle Smith spinning in circles out over the wheat fields. Great smoking U-turns out over the grain. Revising her position on this, that, and everything, from transgender rights to the war in Ukraine. So we'll do this one, mainly because it sort of sticks with the blockade thing. It's a triolet, or it's a series of triolets, which are another formal structure. The blockadiers are going to overthrow the state. I'll believe it when I see it. The internet says it will be great. The blockadiers are going to overthrow the state. Losers and true believers spouting hate, buying into all this. I'll believe it when I see it. The blockadiers are going to overthrow the state. The end times, the Antichrist is coming. That's a pretty good excuse for bad behavior. So you're doing the Lord's work, not just slumming. The end times, the Antichrist is coming. All this self-righteous can get numbing, drawing the battle lines before you meet the Savior. The end times, the Antichrist is coming. That's a pretty good excuse for bad behavior. Good God, but it's been wearing just to watch this shit go down. Social fabric's worn and tearing. Good God, but it's been wearing. Spinning round and round and round and round, trying to keep up with these clowns. Good God, but it's been wearing just to watch this shit go down. The sun gets up, the sun goes down, the world keeps spinning. Not as though that's something new. The universe doesn't care who's winning. The sun gets up, the sun goes down, the world keeps spinning. The moon and the stars have no notion of sin and sinning. That's just something humans do. The sun gets up, the sun goes down, the world keeps spinning. Not as though that's something new. Okay, thank you very much.
It's poetry night tonight. I did not know. I thought it was open mic, so I was gonna come play some songs. I don't have any songs to play tonight because it's poetry night. So I figured I'd pay tribute to one of my favorite artists of all time. Her name is Ani DeFranco. and she writes amazing poetry, and she has made a lot of movement in this world for women and rights, and even buildings that are about to be condemned. She saves them. So anyway, this is called Tiptoe. Tiptoeing through the used condoms strewn on the piers of the West Side Highway, sunset behind the skyline of Jersey, walking towards the water with a fetus holding court in my gut, my body hijacked, my tits swollen and sore, my river has more colors at sunset than my sock drawer ever dreamed of. I could wake up screaming sometimes, but I don't. I could step off the end of this pier, but I got to do an appointment on Tuesday to shed uninvited blood and tissue. I miss you. I say to the water, to the sun, daughter, I thought better I could fall in love with Jersey at sunset, but I leave the view to the rats and tiptoe back.
Okay, as per usual, I wrote this here, but this is also exercise in just kind of putting myself out there. I'm calling this one The Spaces Between. As I took the time to wonder why, I wondered what that means, as idle thoughts and compulsions try not to rearrange my dreams. Nothing is what it seems, except for the semblance of seeming so it brings. Is it a consequence of giving up that never enough is all that's left? Or is it even the kind of thing that can be taken or given? The denial of which diminishes with time as what is left flees the mind, losing all sense of shape, touch, time, or taste. Is it even possible to take what can only be freely given? Or is it notability of names, only there to cloud my vision? To endlessly recast every communication into the entropy of obfuscation? Sometimes I think that time itself is your ghost, and nothing interposed, so much as the wish of willing and the past of its passing. No events save the periphery of all of everything, perceived as just so many surfaces of nothing. Threads of nothing, not woven in their tapestry that ebbs and fades away, crossed wires that cannot even short out the lengths left in the way, or even the lengths that we go to, or fold without looking and just as quickly put away. For the lack of existence, or whatever makes it look that way. Through wishes and wandering, I'll try to fix, through messages and boundaries that I struggle to make stick. Until then, these are all the things that live with me in the spaces in between.
Normally I do something kind of funny or lighthearted. This season brings something else out in me, and I don't know why. Every year the season brings something else out. So I'm going to go back in time to when I wrote about storms. And it's in sonnet form. This one's called Brainstorm. On canvas, life was brushed in vibrant hues by one who now taints his with shades of jade. The painter never dreamed his sight would fade and leave him looking darkly through light's clues. A ballerina poised with fluid grace in youth has lived her dream. Her turn on stage is over with the pirouette of age. A symphony of pleasures now stain her face. Dramatic winds, too often censure-bound, are shifting. Currents of its passion form. The poet's quill transmits electric storm. A blinding crack illuminates the sound. This feather drains my inky soul with haste. No drop of jade, no joy-drenched tear will waste. And sticking with the theme of storms, who here knows that hurricanes from the 1950s to about the mid-70s were always named after women? A lot of them are, but they've kind of gone back and forth, and they're giving just as much credit to the men. But for a long time, like for years and years and years, the choosing of storms, it's like there was a vendetta going on. It involved racism, sexism, all these kind of isms. And they just painted all of the problems and the violence and the storms as women's fault, right? It's always us to blame. So that is where the next sonnet came from and the inspiration for it. And it's called Of Delicate Persuasion. Her rounded privilege formed in eggshell white, fed sugar paste, left to idle chase of fluffy clouds in skies of summer pace. Her strength, her clouds, deemed cotton candy light by eyes not trained to read the warning signs of building tempers, spinning past control. A honeyed thirst does sweetly burn the soul. When climates change, when want for need aligns with darker sisters, thinning from the weight of load, the beasts of burden will not dare. His gender, black or white, still cannot bear the tender sex, let waste or mutilate. These weaker vessels burst in Eden's pain, to birth, then nurture, next wave hurricane.
I have a couple of poems here. Some of them are older, some of them are newer, but I kind of put a few together for you. Bit of a sadder theme, as I tend to go. So the first one is called Sometimes I Forget. Sometimes I forget the hard-won lessons I've learned, and I spend the night out dancing in shoes that don't fit anymore. Usually the aching I feel in the morning is enough to remind me I don't want to walk that path anymore, but if it's not, another night in the same shoes is sure to convince me. And this one is called I Haven't Written Any New Poems. My heart's been bleeding out of a hole in my chest again, a hole that feels so achingly hollow I didn't know it had anything left to give. I've been falling asleep among tear-soaked pillows that hold my screams of agony. They are the only ones that listen, so they are the only ones that can hear. The red wine stains on my lips and on my bed sheets, the catalyst of these soulless nights. But no, I haven't written any new poems because all I've been writing is still about you, and that is nothing new.
Hello. So I have a couple different things, also a mix of new and old stuff. I'm going to read one I kind of just wrote while sitting there. I've been thinking about it, but my brain has kept putting it off, so yeah, here it goes. Today is my birthday. I'm 22 now. I've come a long way from where I was a year ago. I have learned to love myself, which is something that I have struggled with. I've never had an issue with loving others. I actually love too easily most of the time. I've learned I need to protect my love and that people need to earn my love. I've always felt that if I put myself first, that's selfish and not okay. Always jumping to others to help them at the drop of a dime. My birthday is the one day a year I feel that I can fully put myself first. With my birthday being right in the middle of Christmas and New Year's, my birthday usually gets overlooked. I feel that it's really important for me to make sure I put myself first, to take care of me and do what I want to do. This month's poetry night happened to land on my birthday, so I felt that it was a sign that I needed to make it happen and come here to share. I haven't been able to make it in a long time because of living out of town, but this time I made sure I'd be here because this is my happy place. Unfortunately, tonight I came alone, but the difference is that the people that are in my life right now aren't going anywhere. I'm so grateful for them, whether they're near or far, because they show appreciation and love back, so it's not one-sided, me being the only side. I'm not going to beg for people to love me because I love me, and the people that really care will stick around through the good and the bad. People that truly care will show you the same respect and kindness you show them. It's taken a really long time for me to realize that, but I'm finally here at 22. And I have a few others, a couple shorter ones. This one's called Why Do I Always Wait for People? Why do I always wait for people? No one ever waits on me or steps aside for me, so why do I wait here sitting like a damn idiot? Same with plans. People never follow through. They always cancel or reschedule for another time that in most cases will never come.
Hello, just got a short one for you guys. Like Mark just did it here with bits and pieces developed from work when I should have been working. This one's called New Emotions. From this newfound zeal, I begin to peel. It creates quite an exotic feel. What should I do with this newfound material? That even though this feeling is not foreign, it has been so long that it has become a stranger. I wonder if my identity is in danger. As my layers start to reluctantly fall, I wonder if I will defy the call. Was I happy? Am I happy? But that doesn't matter anymore. It can be nevermore. I will no longer flee the sound of what I aspire to be.
Thank you. Oops. What a nice new microphone, by the way. Oops. Steven. Oh, I got it. I came here from Germany about 5 years ago, and every once in a while I do get homesick. This is a poem I wrote after a phone call with my mother. But I'm gonna read a second one to end on a more happier note. Family get-togethers. Invaluable time spent at our dinner table downstairs in the kitchen of our loving home. Stories over stories are told, and even more questions are asked. Where was I? All I can do is to call each one of you afterwards and ask solely about the bare construct of the happenings. What did you talk about? What did you have for supper? Mushrooms, bigger than your hand, picked fresh from the forest? I always find out all the facts. But you won't tell me how shiny your eyes were when you laughed about that joke. How your tiny wrinkles so full of stories on your forehead showed. This is really a little bit sad for me, probably not for you. In the candlelight, when a worry slips out, revealing your unspoken thoughts, my plate at your table remains empty. But see, Mama, I was right there. You don't have to tell me more than raw facts, because my memory just adds the rest. When you tell me what you had for supper, I know how the forest smells. I can see your bright eyes, your wide open mouth, being so happy about the find. And I hear you laughing out loud, just as you always do, didn't you? When you tell me you talked about my brother moving further away, I know of the certain special look on your face, the one you always have when you try to hide a fear. I know how you caringly touched my brother's arm when he stood right next to you in a way only a mother ever could. I know nobody noticed but me. When you tell me how tasty the food was, I know how deep down in your belly you could feel we weren't complete, we might never again really be. When you tell me you talked about this year's Christmas plans, I know what you thought but will never give in to reveal. Another year she won't be here. This was harder than I thought it would be. Okay, one more happy one. If you could catch a moment in a jar for storing marmalade and add these jars to a never-ending, bottomless traveling bag, this would be my most valuable possession. I wonder how many marmalade glass jar moments I will collect, containing the many little presents I spent with you. Maybe I will get them out of the suitcase one day, one by one, dusting them off, putting them up on our wall, and remember what it was I love you for. Thanks so much.